Welcome to the 12th Annual Gaming in Holland conference. The opening of the regulated online market has dramatically increased the visibility of our sector, which has caused significant public and political backlash. Some of it justified, some of it not so much.
Thank you. And I would dare to do the prediction that the government will intervene if it turns out that the operators in the Netherlands do not take their responsibility seriously enough, lightning fast. It goes without saying that the KSA as the regulator has its own responsibility. That is why we will spend the next period investigating explicitly how our license holders are putting the main facets of the duty of care into practice. Regulators like the KSA generally prefer it when companies under their supervision comply with the legislation and regulations of their own accord. As we have just seen, however, this does not always happen. The KSA will intensify its monitoring of the fulfillment of the duty of care, and we will not hesitate to intervene if there are evident signals that operators are not complying with the duty of care. And this concerns both land-based and online operators. So the KSA will make itself heard in the near future. And thank you very much for your kind attention, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.
The opening of the online market has been a success so far. And maybe we can start with Justin. I know for lawyers it's usually hard to give a short answer, but would you say yes or no?
For this lawyer it's not too difficult. I know you're expecting a binary answer. I would say yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, that's okay. We hold up a higher standard ourselves. We're trying to be, the best possible operator that we can, which also means every now and then taking decisions which are not ideal from a commercial perspective, but we try to balance that really, really well.
Is there something
short on me?
Is there something going forward that you think should be different in this market? Maybe in regulation, or maybe in the industry from the operators? If you could change one thing.
I guess the application process. I mean, every operator I talk to is complaining about the length, the complexity, and the depth of the application process. And I think it can be made a bit more easy. Getting the same result, which is getting in reputable operators.
So we estimate that 24% of the market will remain offshore this year. That's consistent with the survey that was talked about earlier, showing 22% of customers continue to use offshore sites. However, the offshore portion of the market should decrease as more operators get licensed. However, that is dependent on any changes to regulation, and adverse regulation could see a significant offshore market remain depending on what gets put in.
So can they really be expected to be ethical, morally perfect at this stage? Is that too much to expect?
Well, I think what we did do, and that's also what Peter Paul just referred to, I think we underestimated the market opening. This law, and you probably know the background of it. It took almost 10 years, a lot of maneuvering between parties.
That it isn't just about advertisement volume, it's also about content, it's also about duty of care, it's the entire system that has to work. So there is a challenge there, and we still have a long way to go forward.
Yeah, it doesn't stop me from reminding MPs that they should look at consumer protection first and foremost, rather than irritation, which seems to be the big thing that we're trying to prevent.
So Björn, your thoughts on this?
I have to concur with the gentleman on my right.
Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Already touched on it very briefly. You have quite interesting background because you've been representing the Netherlands on the Olympics, so in sports, and you have a background in banking, right? And that must position you pretty well to do what you do.
It's an interesting combination. So for me, sports has given me much. And if you are in a position to influence the outcome of what you bet on, then that's an integrity risk. Something similar as a politically exposed person.
But I think in the future we are building our poker segments and we'll make it bigger. And I hope also the gaming authority will help us, because I think poker is going to be so big. We can't only do it within our walls of our casinos.
Sustainability. I think we have an introduction movie to start with. Can you start the movie?
Holland Casino ontleent zijn bestaansrecht uit de maatschappelijke opdracht. Duurzaamheid krijgt een steeds belangrijke rol en onze gasten mogen dat ook wel van ons verwachten.
That is the question whether we in the Netherlands want the state to operate casinos. The state should take care of its citizens.
The biggest balloon wins the prize. There we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blow. Come on. Yeah. Oh! Whoa, Martin, you're the biggest. Woo!
I'm here today to talk to you about problem gambling topologies and tailored interventions, as was just mentioned. Now, I am a researcher, so I'm used to giving presentations of at least an hour, so I'll try to keep it concise here.
We would show the algorithm loads of pictures without cats, and once we've done that fast of time, we'll be able to show it new pictures that it's never seen before. And with a certain percentage, it'll be able to indicate whether there's a cat in the picture or not.
First of all, the budgetary impact of a gambling tax is not much at all. Of course, it's nice for the government to have some budget, but it's not the most important tax, as you maybe know.
Before we kick off our discussion about compliance, we didn't want to deny Dr. Alan Littler his moment in the spotlight. So he's going to talk very quickly on the theme of the panel that we would have had earlier on sports betting terminals.
There could be arguments to be made to successfully challenge the land-based monopoly. But of course that's not something which is going to be arranged within a year or two.
Antonio, if I could start with you. Yeah. What are the challenges you're seeing around reporting at the moment?
I mean, there's two types of issues presented. One is of regulatory nature. So effectively what's been prepared during the license application and the information that is inside the policies or now, for example, interventions are being done.
I wouldn't say there's a discrepancy there, but I think what you see from the regulator kind of, for the regulator point of view, is that they actually really want you to exceed even the current policies or the current rules or regulations.
It can be small stuff like changing your compliance officer, a change for responsible gambling representative, even a change in the supplier or the crux of CDB. All of these changes need to be reported to the regulator.
Till now, what has gone well in the new market? And is there anything that has gone completely wrong, actually?
Actually, I think it was collectively it was a great success. Because operators made a lot of money in the beginning, so it took off like a rocket.
So a little bit more cooperation between the KSA and the operators, and also thinking of the market is opening and then everything stops. No, there's a couple of scenarios which will probably develop, and some of them have developed, particularly the resistance to advertising. We could have prepared a little bit better for that, I think.
So it already started before, but I think what was really good was the channelization. Fair point. I think that went really well, and advertising is helping to channelize, so that went well. But of course it was too much. It was too much. And then the third one was with Crux. And I'm really worried. If we really think that we can come up with a system that all transactions need to be monitored real time. Guys, we saw with Crux what happened on day one, and a bit worried there. If we go further on this path.
Niels, do you agree on that?
Well, per definition, Eric and I hardly ever agree. No, that's not true. we have a lot of common ground. We have a lot of
Let's have a discussion.
Who's on team Eric? Who's on team Niels?
No, I think a couple of things. One is, a general statement. As an industry, we should take our responsibility, and that's a cliche, and cliches are usually cliches, but there's an element of truth in it. Secondly, we hear what politicians say, and I think what René Janssen has said as well this morning. So we can say, oh, this is not going to happen, something is coming our way. And I am of the mind that I'd like to take the initiative and have other people react to my initiative, as opposed to wait what the initiatives are and we have to react as an industry. So I plead for proactiveness, fact-based research, make sure we have all the data on the table, and being 9 months into this market is far too early to tell, although there are some telltale signs which we have to take into account. So let's ensure we really have fact-based research, funding.
So just imagine the three of us, three of you. Would you be able to agree before the politicians make major mistakes in changing the regulation? Would you be able to create that kind of agreement and initiatives that are needed to fulfill the dreams of the regulator here, duty of care? Would you be able to agree on that before the politicians sort of go in the wrong direction?
Well, actually we did. By early in December, but just probably too late, too little. I think the ROC number 1 was signed the day before the debate in the Parliament. Yeah. Which is it's very unfortunate, because then you never have a chance to prove your true intentions.
I think we had a fantastic panel here, and thank you Eric, Niels, Anja and Birgitte, and a big applause. But stay on the stage. One last thing that I would like to mention. I hope that today's discussions have laid the groundwork for more fundamental debates and exchanges of views in the coming months. And we definitely have seen something here in the last panel. I would like to remind everyone that the Expo will continue tomorrow, including the speeches on the Polar stage, and hopefully we see each other there again tomorrow.
And I will hope you have a pleasant stay in Holland Casino Hotel. Thank you very much.